This time on Square Roots, welcome to the Great Archives, adventurer. I suppose curiosity brought you here. An important trait to be sure. I'm the archivist, an immortal versed in the ways of alchemy. But perhaps you knew that already? After spending millennia cataloging the events of countless timelines, I decided to return here to mull over everything I had seen. In my musings about the stories that fill these books and scrolls, I had a recent epiphany. It seems that in my haste I may have overlooked the very thing I was hoping to find. The Square Roots podcast series of stars.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I'm joined by Matthew Van Sant.
Hello, Jim. Hello, listeners.
And Vanessa.
Hello, Jim. Hello, listeners.
Johnny, I was going to call Johnny Fleshmancer Brandon, but he is out sick. He has diarrhea.
Mm-hmm. I heard he had
bad.
diarrhea so hard that his voice came out of his butt.
That did happen. And this is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs one chunker at a time. And this week, we're starting our series on recent vote winner, vote champion, Sea of Stars.
Whoa. Star Sea.
Sea of Stars, the much lauded 2023 indie throwback RPG. It actually won indie. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it won Indie of the Year at the Game Awards last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Game Awards are garbage. So.
They are trash. But this game is good. I like it.
It is good, and you say it's so throwbacky. I don't know if it's that throwbacky. It's got lots of modern ideas.
It does. I don't know that it like innovates on any of the genre formula stuff in any ways that are really unique, but it does make everything feel really fresh.
Flash!
Oh, no.
Yeah, Flash. Vanessa, are you? Well, I guess we'll get to that when we start. But before we get into the quest log, anybody have any hot gaming news to share with the class?
Speaking of the Game of the Year awards being garbage.
Yeah, did you see the nominees?
Yeah, did you see the nominees? Game of the Year.
Saw some of the nominees.
Sony really shelled out.
So this year, the nominees are Astrobot, which seems fine to me. I didn't play it, but people seem to like it.
I played that one.
Black Myth Wukong also seems fine to me. People seem to really like it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, garbage.
Cool.
Garbage for idiots. Who could possibly vote for that? Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. Friends, that's a DLC.
Yeah, that's an expansion at best.
You know what's funny to me is, like, I've seen a lot of, like, chatter about it, and I've definitely, like, heard other podcasts and, streamers and stuff talk about, like, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. Like, well, people are complaining it's a DLC, but, like, really? But you know what? I'm going to complain. It's a DLC, my friends. It is not a goddamn video game. That's, like, best level of a video game. Put it in the best DLC category. But if I can't play that thing without playing an entire other game first, and I don't mean like and understand it, I mean literally can't play it without playing an entire other game first, then it's not a goddamn standalone video game and cannot possibly be the game of the year.
I was going to complain because, of course, we all know Death of the Outsider is its own standalone game, but I didn't realize that you couldn't buy this DLC as a standalone.
You have to play. Yeah, you cannot buy it as a standalone. I think if you could buy it as a standalone, I can see that. Death of the Outsider, great example. You may not understand what's going on, but you know what? You can buy it, turn it on, play it, and that's fine. That's a video game. This is just content. What do you think, Jim?
I agree with you. I'm okay with recognizing it because it does seem like those FromSoft games are really labors of love, and they're so detailed and there's so much work that goes into them. But Game of the Year, like Elden Ring was already nominated when it came out, man. Like DLC of the Year, I could see, but one game that I was really excited to see on there. Yeah, one game that I was really excited to see on the Game of the Year nomination list was Balatro.
Yeah, that was the only one I didn't bring up yet. Balatro, the first game to be nominated for Game of the Year at the Game of the Year Awards, that was completely developed by one person.
Yeah, and people love that Balatro.
Yep.
Like, they're totally addicted to it. Didn't Metaphor also get nominated, Matt?
Yeah, I mentioned Metaphor. I think
okay.
I would say, like, if you want to talk about who do you think should win Game of the Year, I've only played 2 of these, and of the 2, Metaphor is the clear front runner. But I'm not a big Game of the Year type person anyway. Like, I think it's all kind of stupid. Like, these things don't compare. What are we comparing here? So,
what about the
people
big
like that Balatro.
snub?
Dragon Age.
That's right.
Snub.
Dragon Age
Snub of the
Veilguard.
Year.
Snub of the Year.
In every category, right?
Yep.
It was not nominated at all.
No, not for like voice or performance, which is where BioWare often shines.
Yeah.
It was just Snubby McDubby, 3 men in a tubby. Snub that game.
Snub a lub dub.
Just more evidence that if you go woke, you stay broke. I've played all of Veilguard now, and I will say that the first and second act didn't live up to the series for me, but the third act is fantastic, and it's absolutely worth sticking with the game.
I might have to pick it back up. I think I played through maybe the first act of the game, and I liked what I played, but it didn't really grab me. Mm-hmm. So might have to give it another shot.
Yeah, I would say it's worth sticking with it. I will, maybe in my level up at the end of the show, talk a little bit more about some of my thoughts on the game. I don't want to harp on about it during the news section, because sadly, my reviews ain't news.
Did you guys, I'm sorry, I'm back. My internet cut out or something. Did you answer my question? Who votes on these things?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Probably some nerds.
I just wonder if the Dragon Age thing is a recency thing. Like, if this is a fan vote, like, a lot of people have not played Dragon Age yet.
According to Wikipedia, the Game Awards has a committee composed of representatives of companies such as Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony. I'm sorry, if you work for one of these companies, you're not allowed to vote on Game of the Year. Yeah. That is a clear conflict of interest.
Yeah, it's even more bullshit than we previously thought.
And Jeff Keighley is like the industry's biggest whore. He's going to give it to whoever pays him the most. It's obvious, like, that Sony probably shelled out a bunch of money to have Astrobot on there. Like,
I don't know. I remember when Astrobot came out and there were people saying Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Some people said it's... I heard people say it was the best fucking platformer they've ever played.
It is a really fun platformer. I will say that.
Very, very sort of like fan servicey for Sony, though.
Yeah, it's basically like it's every character in it is like a reference to a Sony property. Ape Escape, Loco Roco, God of War, Uncharted, like all of those franchises have their own worlds in Astrobot, and a lot of the little Astrobots are characters from other games. There's a whole bunch of Resident Evil characters. There's a whole bunch of God of War characters. There's a whole bunch of characters from like Wild Arms. Like there's some pretty deep cuts in there, but it's all like Sony adjacent. It's all Sony or Sony adjacent properties.
I guess Mario Party
there are
and stuff
categories
like
for
that.
best independent game and best debut indie game. Excuse me? What's the difference?
I think that like Mario Party and games like that, though, also are sort of very branded. So I suppose Sony can have their fun too.
That's true. I will say that like it feels like with Nintendo, it makes sense because I feel like they've earned that that equity they have in their characters. You know what I mean? Like these franchises have been around for like 40 years almost. But it doesn't feel like Sony's quite earned it. Like, I feel like when I got to the Loco Roco world of Astrobot, I was like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, but you don't think they get to that point with the Mario Party games where they're like, here's the Ice Climber Brothers, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that's true.
Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, Game of the Year awards. Stupid garbage, but good for Balatro. I hope it wins. Or Metaphor Fantasia, which is amazing, but, you know.
I don't plan on watching. The only reason I watched last year was because I heard they were going to have some Alan Wake related content, and they did have that great dance number with Sam Lake and Ikola or whatever the guy that plays Alan Wake. That was amazing. I doubt they're going to have anything quite as cool this year. Yeah, how do you top that?
Can't ever top it.
You can't. Now you also have on here something about Rebirth, speaking of Game of the Year.
Yep. I think, I don't remember who, and frankly, I'm not pulling up at this point, but you've probably heard it already. Somebody, the director, the producer, the showrunner of Rebirth, has said that they are not focusing on any Rebirth DLC, so that they can focus on Final Fantasy Remake Part 3 instead, to which I say, thank you.
Yes, I think that's a great idea. I also saw some news recently where they were like, yeah, we heard feedback that there were too many mini games in Rebirth. We're going to tone that down for Part 3. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe that they had, it just baffles my mind that they needed feedback about that and didn't realize it. Remember?
Yeah, maybe on
Remember
their,
the
like,
beach town
20th
where it was like,
minigame?
here's 100 mini games, and then it was like, great, you did it. Here's a 1-hour dungeon. Now here's the Golden Casino and 100 more fucking mini games, and you gotta do every single one.
With the golden...
that mission where you have to go get the best
saucer
on every single one.
Yeah. With the golden saucer, you can sort of get away with it though, because it is like the mini game chunk of the original.
Yeah.
I agree, and my problem was by the time we got to the Golden Saucer, I was so fucking sick of mini games that I wanted to eat glass. And pre-playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I was looking forward to the Golden Saucer, and then when I played the game, I was like, "Fuck you, I hate your guts."
You know, that's interesting. Rebirth is a game I'll probably replay it next year, but I don't know that. I wonder if it'll still hold up. You know what I mean? Like. I wonder if I'll still like it as much on a second. Well, I guess I did. I've already done 2 playthroughs. If I'll like it as much on the 3rd playthrough. It's
funny how some of these games we sit on them, and after like a month or two, I'll like look at them more favorably. Like I didn't like Bayonetta, but you know what? Like I'm not mad I played that game. Like it had some silly, goofy stuff. It was worth a play.
Yeah.
And some stuff I look at a few months later, and I'm like, fucking, it's even worse than I thought. Like all I remember is the bad stuff. And I know that there were large parts of Rebirth that I was like super hooked on, and like I got 6 chunkers ahead or something. I was so hooked on when the game was just like, go play the game. I loved it, and then there was just so much other stuff, and that's all that I remember.
I think that's the best thing about Rebirth is that it sucks you in, and you just want to keep playing it. Like you unlock a new area, and you're like, I can't put the controller down until I've 100%ed this area.
I got to do every mission in this area, and I got to get 3 stars on every single one. And that's
I got to do I got to do all the hunts. Yep. I got to do all the intel. I got to do all that. It's a fun game in that respect. I guess
it definitely is. I cannot disagree. 1 out of 10 stars. I hate its guts. All right. Well, that's all my hot gaming news. Do either of you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Let me think. I will say this tickled me a little bit because I'm a big fan of the game. I'm actually on my 2nd playthrough of it, but Silent Hill 2 Remake got a handful of nominations, like Best Action Adventure, Best Narrative, Best Performance from the actor who played James. Which, like, when I was playing the game, I was like, I think I said this on a couple episodes ago, but maybe some of the best voice acting I've ever heard in a game, just in terms of like how subtle his inflections are, and it is It is top tier. There's so much depth to that game. Every little thing is.
I'm sorry, what game?
So, Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, Silent Hill 2 remake.
Every little thing is so loaded with either as a reference to the original, but like in a way that adds a lot of depth to the original, or it expands on the lore of the original, or expands on the mindsets of the handful of characters that are in the game. It's just so good. And I know it probably won't win. I kind of hope it doesn't, because I don't know that a remake should do like a sweep. But if it wins one or two, I think that'll be great. I like to see it nominated. And it's good to see that the actor who played James get recognition, because that was seriously one of the best performances I've seen in a game.
Vanessa, I just realized something. I think the reason Jim likes Silent Hill 2 so much is because the main character is named James.
He told me that when the characters talk about James in the game, he just like shakes his little hands and he goes, "They're talking about that's me. I'm James."
No, that's if there was ever a game where you don't want to be associated with the main character, it's gonna be Silent Hill 2.
I can't imagine why. I don't understand. I've never played the game.
He's a nice guy.
No spoilers.
He's friends with the old girl. It's great.
Yeah. He loves his wife very much.
He loves his wife. He's a real wife guy.
Yeah, he is a wife guy.
Johnny has some side gaming news, which is that the Concord developer has closed for good. Sad.
Wow.
Oh.
Sad.
You know, speaking of Concord, I don't know if you'd call this news. It's just more like me expressing something, but I'm really looking forward to that secret level show that comes out in a couple weeks. I know it has a Concord episode I don't really care about, but like I saw like clips of the Warhammer episode. That looks incredible.
What's this? What are you talking about? I know nothing about this.
Oh, you definitely do, but we'll tell you.
Okay.
Secret Level is a new show coming out that it's like a anthology
Love, Death, and
animated
Robots.
animated anthology series.
Oh yeah.
And each episode is you asked, so now you have to listen to the you have to listen to the explanation. Each episode is going to be a different video game franchise and kind of an episode. I think they've said a lot of them are going to be like after the game or whatever, but we'll see. There's, I believe, a Mega Man.
There's a Mega Man. It looks great.
Hey, I fucking love Mega Man.
Yeah, Mega Man's great.
I bet there's like a Halo, there's a Warhammer, a Gears of War, right?
You know what? Maybe we should just
Pull up the
give it a
list. Let's talk about it.
Google.
It's not super news, but it's interesting. It comes out in a couple of weeks. I'm definitely watching that shit.
December 10th. So there's Armored Core, Concord, God of War.
Yes.
Crossfire, which is something I don't know much about. There's a Dungeons and Dragons, a Mega Man, a New World Eternum, which seems like Amazon kind of wedging something in there. There's a Pac-Man. There's a PlayStation Worlds one with lots of PlayStation characters in it. There's a Sifu one, which looks great. There's a Spelunky episode. Vanessa, there's an Outer Worlds episode that takes place in the Outer Worlds universe.
I love that
There's
universe.
there's an Unreal Tournament
oh,
episode.
that's cool.
Yeah, super
That's
cool.
neat.
And Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah,
so pretty
Warhammer
dope.
40K is definitely a setting that I always want to see more stuff from.
Oh man, I haven't talked about it much, but I've been playing Space Marines 2, the new Warhammer 40K game, and God, it's so good. I've been playing it doing the campaign multiplayer with my buddy Robert, and it's so satisfying. What a great game.
Okay, I do remember.
But yeah, I'm excited for that
I
show.
remember hearing about it. The one issue I have with it is like the trailer I saw was very much leaning into like, you gamer are the chosen one, and the games you play are
That's
so important.
super dumb.
And I'm like, don't pander to me like that. I feel icky.
Yeah, I don't
like,
need that.
No.
That's ridiculous.
But I do love the idea of an anthology series dipping into these worlds, like
Sure.
And the trailer I saw for the Mega Man one looked fantastic. It looked great. So I'm very excited.
There's an
I'm
episode.
sure that it'll be very hit or miss, and some of them will be like boring garbage. But hopefully, there's like some gems in there, and that's all
I'm hoping that they all. Oh no, it says there's going to be 2 episodes released every week. So.
Oh, good. That's good.
There's
Yeah.
an episode
You know,
of Reading Rainbow where LeVar Burton goes to a shop and it's full of hats. It's like a hat store. And every hat he puts on takes him into a different profession. And he gets to experience that. And as a kid, that was my absolute favorite episode because I just love the idea of any kind of series where you go and experience, like, jumping in different books, wearing different hats, being in different worlds. I love it. Eat it up. Yum, 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 yum.
Well, I don't remember what I was going to say. What did you say, Jim?
What I was going to say was John threw in another bit of hot gaming news, which is that there's a rumor that there could be a big update, either an HD re-release or a remake of the game Bully, the Rockstar game Bully.
I never played that.
I did.
Did you like it?
Of course, I love beating the shit out of nerds. No,
makes sense.
Yeah.
I liked it because it had one of my other favorite tropes, besides the Reading Rainbow hat store, which is making cliques, like school cliques, essentially classes or factions, as if they were like in a role-playing game. And Bully absolutely does
fun.
that. It's like the jocks, the nerds, I don't remember what else, but they're all there.
It's got great writing too. The game has a lot of really funny lines in it. I actually played it for the first time just last year.
Really?
I downloaded it. Yeah, it's on PlayStation. It's like if you're a PlayStation Premium subscriber, you can download the game and play the original version of it.
And it has something of a persona structure where you go to class and you have to do little mini games to do each of your lessons and things like that. So that's fun.
That's cool. I've
Jim
said for
got
years,
a
I really
snack.
would.
I'm jealous.
Actually, I should show these. Amanda made me some deviled
Oh my
eggs.
God.
Ooh, deviled eggs are the best.
That's a top
Wait,
tier
how many eggs are
snack.
on that plate, though? Jim, deviled eggs are like a 1 or 2 type of snack, not a plate full.
There's 6 of them. That's 3
He's
eggs.
already had 2.
You're going to be joining Johnny on the toilet soon with that many deviled eggs in front of you.
You're probably right. All right, you guys ready to get into the quest log? Let's talk about Sea of Stars.
No, I'm not, because we have things highlighted on our notes that we have to talk about first, don't we, Jim?
Oh, do we?
Yeah,
Every
we always
week.
do.
Every week we do
Oh, we have a stream to plug. Square Roots. We do a weekly YouTube stream, YouTube live stream. Currently, Matt is playing Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia.
We got a couple weeks left in that, and then I am going to play Kingdom Hearts 2
Heck
on stream.
yeah. We did the
One
first
of my favorite
episode.
games ever.
We did the first episode already on a Sunday, a Saturday, when we were just
Random
kinda,
Saturday.
and
Yeah.
it was just a good old time. That game was fun. Now, if you're going to stream the rest of it, you're going to have to let those cutscenes play.
Yeah, I will. But yeah.
Yeah, what a fun game to play. What a fun game to watch. I can't wait. Man, we didn't do it. We talked about I was thinking about doing like a fucking Illusion of Gaia, like extra long ep this weekend just to knock
Just to
that
finish it
fucking
out.
thing out so that I can go watch some Kingdom Hearts. But I had a busy weekend.
It'll be fun. Kingdom Hearts 2, like I said, one of my favorite games. I'm excited to play. That's one of those games I feel like I could kind of play forever. It's so fun. So yeah, check that out. If you go to YouTube, just search Square Roots Podcast. You'll find our profile on there. Sign up I would say subscribe. Sign up for notifications so you can get that little notification whenever we go live. But every Wednesday around 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, we go live and have a good old time with the chat. We'll also give Johnny's channel a plug, Bears in Games and Neo. He actually just released a new video, which is an update to a previous video where he reviewed the Switch ports of the Grand Theft Auto games. Those games just got a big update, so John did a big update to his video, and I actually watched it last night. It's great.
Did you like it and comment on it?
I have not liked and commented yet, but I did watch it while I was laying in bed.
Listen, I love Johnny, and I love watching YouTube videos. You couldn't pay me to comment on a YouTube video.
Wow.
Fuck that.
You guys are probably why he got such
Fuck
bad diarrhea.
that.
He's so upset that his good friends didn't like and comment on his video.
But you know what? I'm going to go and give it a like right now. And listeners, I urge you to do the same. You just pull up your YouTube app on your phone or your tablet, and you hit that search button, and you look for Bears in Games Neon. What
Bears in Games Neon.
just happened? And you give it a like, which is what I'm going to do right now. Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy Definitive Edition update. Is it fixed? Actually, he's got 83 likes on this thing right now. That's a fucking fantastic amount of likes.
Yeah, good for him.
2,579 views.
Wow.
Johnny, what a fucking accomplishment.
Oh boy, he's blossoming. I'm so worried he's going to leave the nest forever.
Nah, he loves us.
Yeah, you're right. They always come home at Christmas.
If he did, he'd come crawling.
And be like, well. The prodigal son returns.
So yeah, check that out. Search Bears and Games and Neo on YouTube. You can find Johnny's great channel. Now let's talk about Sea of Stars.
Whoa. What is your history with Sea of Stars?
Oh. Are you asking me?
Either of you.
Vanessa, what's your
Experience with
experience
Stars
with Sea of
is
Stars?
you guys talking about wanting to play it this time and putting it up for the vote, and me feeling like I had never heard of it before, which is probably not true because I think that you would have mentioned that you were playing it in the past. Yeah, but
I think I've mentioned it before.
you know, there's a gulf between you mentioning it and me either listening to you or remembering that you mentioned it. And sometimes it can't be bridged. It's like there's a whole sea of stars in between those two islands. So yeah, I had no idea what this was. I didn't even know what I was going to play it on. I didn't realize it was such a recent game. When I found out it was a recent game, I didn't realize it was going to look so throwback. And yet, here we are. Me, playing a pixel game like some kind of baby. Matt, what's your experience with Sea of Stars?
Well, I looked today. I had to delete my saves. My saves were from September of last year, and I played, I feel like maybe about a third of this game. Definitely through like the first big, I don't know, plot point. I mean, there's lots of plot points, but like the first big one. I liked it. It was fun. It was a little too hard. It was definitely the type of game that like I felt like I could play the whole thing, and I don't remember what we were playing for the show at the time. I'm not a 2 RPGs at a time type of person. You know what I mean? Like, that's tough. And I want to say at the end of last year, we were doing Final Fantasy 4, 6, and then
We were definitely in Final Fantasy World last year on this time.
Yeah, so I did drop off from Sea of Stars, but I'm excited to pick it back up. I'm also really excited that right when this game won the vote, a stealth update dropped that released a lot of accessibility options, including a story mode, because I don't want to try hard. It's a fun game, and I definitely could play it on normal or whatever and like get through it, but like I don't wanna. I just want it to be fast, and I want this. I want the story. That's why I'm playing story mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are you playing it on? Jim, you played this last year as well, right?
Yeah, I played it all the way. I bought it when it came out, and played it all the way up to the third act of the game, and then I put it down because I think we were playing something else for the show, and I just never got back to it, so I never finished it. So I'm excited to be picking it up again, replaying it. Actually, like, I'm surprised I remembered very little about my original playthrough. So it's cool to be revisiting it.
Yep.
It's clicking much more this time.
Are you also
Much
playing it
better
on
this
the
time.
easier mode?
I am playing it on the easier mode, though I do find myself toggling a lot of that stuff on and off while I'm playing.
Yeah, I'll say the one thing that I'm seriously considering toggling off is it's got a after every fight your health gets refilled toggle, and
Yeah.
that actually is making me feel a bit like a baby. Like I can use
Yeah,
health items and
it's-
stuff. Like I don't mind dealing with health and stuff like that. It's
It does
fine.
sort of take out an element
Yeah,
of
it
the
kind
game.
of. It kind of almost totally negates the cooking mechanic
Yep.
or the usefulness of the cooking mechanic in the game, which I'm not a huge fan of. But yeah, I'm finding myself digging it on this playthrough a lot more.
Do you mean that you're
my
not a
original,
fan of the
so-
cooking mechanic, or you're
Glad
not
we're
a fan of
playing
negating the cooking mechanic?
Not a fan of negating the cooking.
Yeah,
mechanic.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
actually think cooking is
mechanic.
fun.
I don't think we
Yeah.
should get too far into the cooking mechanic right this second, but it is a good mechanic, and it's got like
Yeah,
neat
it's
visuals.
fun.
I like it. They put a lot of
Yeah.
effort into that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it, guys.
Yeah, and
so-
on top of going through the story, I really want to talk about the gameplay. There's a lot of stuff introduced here that sets it apart from other games that I really think we need to get into here in the first ep.
Yeah, let's just jump into it. So the game opens. You have to pick a lead character. It's basically the character you start out controlling. It makes no difference to the story or the gameplay whatsoever.
It's a little weird. Like, I don't know why it kind of bugs me. I get it's basically like be a boy or a girl almost. Like, just pick one, and I guess that's fine. Like, give people options, but why not just make that the character? Like, why do we have two and they just are the same person, basically?
I think maybe it's sort of more of a contemporary choice and acknowledgement of how many old school games just made you play the boy, like Hero Boy,
Yeah.
Boy. So
That's
I would be
interesting.
fine if it was just hero girl, A, and B, like, or just a binary and not a where it's just, I don't know. This is one of the things that doesn't kill me. It doesn't bug me that much, but it's just a little weird. Like, what's the point?
do you really feel like character though? They're so different. Boy.
When they're so
they?
interchangeable that you can pick either one and it doesn't make a bit of fucking difference, kinda.
One is moon, one is sun. Other than that, there's really not a lot.
Yeah,
of
I guess that's
difference
true.
between them.
Yeah, they're very similar, and it kind of bums me out because I think that you're really only going to have the three characters throughout the game, and it would be nice if the two.
What you get more characters. There's more party characters.
Oh,
you get
that's
at least,
right. That's right. I forgot.
You get at least a couple more.
Yeah, I forgot that you do get a couple more. Still, it would be.
Yeah.
It just seems a little weird to have the two and they're just interchangeable. Like, again, just how about you pick one or the other, and then the other one like fucks off and dies or something. You know?
It's true. So you do pick a lead character. You get the opening from the Archivist, which Vanessa kind of beautifully
Ew.
recited earlier.
Fantastic job, by the
thank
way.
you so much.
I actually forgot this Archivist. Keep him in your mind.
Can
He's
I
not a
keep him in
throwaway
my
character.
heart?
Well, he shows up at the end of every. He shows up
Yeah,
a
you
lot.
keep in
I
your
feel like. I don't think you're gonna forget him.
He becomes a playable
Wow,
character.
what
really?
a spoiler!
Fucking huge spoilers, Jim. What the fuck?
Sorry, I'm sorry. So yeah, we meet the Archivist. He talks about somebody called a
Yeah.
Fleshmancer.
I
That's
like
a cool
that.
name.
Fleshmancer. Yeah, pretty cool. He also mentioned something called Evermist Island and the Solstice Warriors. There's a lot of lore here that we have to unpack, that we get a little bit of as we move through the game. But Vanessa, I think you called it when you were playing the game, is the first chunker here that we're talking about in this episode is for babies.
It's a baby game for babies.
It is a game by not by. I'm not calling the developers babies. It is for and features babies.
It is a game about babies and the baby things that they like to do when they're walking around being babies.
Yeah. We do get kind of an en media res opening with our characters on a mountain trail. There's some tutorial stuff happening here where we get some combat tutorials, very basic ones. And then our characters who are, I have their names here. I never remember their names. Valir, who's the moon girl, and Zale, who's the sun boy. They are going up this mountain trail. They mention that they think it's a test from their headmaster, but they're looking for a place to camp. So you get to control each character kind of independently as we look for a camping spot. And after you find one, they mention that they really miss their friend who's not there. They're like, I wonder what happened to him. And this is where the game flashes back.
Yeah,
Vanessa?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
You get this?
Nope.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've never seen anything like that.
Also, quick
really?
aside, I'm sorry. Did you say Valir? Is that what
Valir,
you
is that
said? Vanessa,
what I
I'm
said? Is
going
that
to
not
look
right?
at you again and just please go ahead and...
I
what you think
believe
of
that
that?
there is no little scene that then flashes back, and I believe that it's pronounced Valerie.
It's clearly Valerie.
Oh, Valerie. Okay. So I will say about this opening scene, I didn't remember it either, but the guide that I was looking at to remind myself what to put in the notes mentioned it, had a whole thing about it.
I wonder if
like,
it was cut
Maybe that's the
in
case.
in the update.
I wonder.
I do
yeah.
like that you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
decided
yeah.
to
I
trust
wonder.
the guide over your own memory. Be like, well, it must be true.
Yeah, throw it in there. Like, did I just like skip it? I don't know. But that is, I guess it. I mean, I don't think the guide
Maybe
made it
it
up
is.
unless
Maybe it
the guide
is.
is
Maybe it's a
like,
prank.
gaslighting me. But maybe post update. Everybody else, just the game opens in Moon Cradle.
Yeah,
I actually think it's
so
better
too.
with the
flashback
flashback.
might
If
give
I'm
you
being
a hint
honest,
that it's not just a baby game for babies the whole time. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that you're not going to be playing babies. So we flash back to Moon Cradle. We're all babies. We're hanging out with our baby friend Garl. We have Valerie. We have Zale. And we have Garl. Garl's a little pudgy kid. John wanted to mention this, but since he has really bad diarrhea, I'm going to mention it for him. Garl is very similar to Ramus.
I got big Ramus energy
Lunar
from him.
Silver Star story.
Because he's fat
Why
and
is he
loves
very
snacks.
similar to Ramus? Oh my God, Vanessa!
He's the fat friend who is not like part of the
Magic
he's
team.
part of the main cast, but
You're
not part of
Magic
the main
Team.
party.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not
You're
one
not one of the special
kids.
babies that was
Don't
delivered by the
run.
moon stork or something like that. They get into it later. Oh, yeah.
The great eagle.
Great eagle.
Thank you.
You were just birthed out of a woman. The great eagle didn't even bring you, loser. When we say they're babies,
I like Garl. We'll get more Garl time at the end of this episode, but I'm a big fan and I have things to say. I have thoughts.
yeah.
This should be called the Garl game
Yeah.
because
Now, Garl, I
it is
think-
top to bottom
I
Garl.
believe that he will turn out to be
This
the
game
real
loves
heart of
Garl.
this game. We should say when we say they're babies, they're probably like, what, 10? Something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kids.
Garl also seems
Yeah.
to be the only one with a personality. So
I agree. I think that Valerie and Zale, like, they don't have anything distinct about their personalities at all.
also 10 minutes into this game, and let me say my first major complaint is, can I get some voice acting, please? And an
Wow.
auto
Really?
scroll on these fucking
This is
text
a-
boxes.
Throwback, brother. It's a throwback.
Doesn't have to be
bro.
that much of a throwback,
We
brother.
know-
Like, it can be throwback E and still have modern conveniences like good voice acting and auto scroll text boxes, so I don't have to hit the button, hit the button. I'm sitting here today eating my lunch, like chomping down on a sandwich, and I just had to keep being like,
We
"Ah,
know
hit
how
the
you
button.
struggle
Ah,
with
hit the
text
button."
on the screen, Matt, and I'm sorry, but
It's
just
true.
pop open a new jar of lotion, you'll be fine. So,
And then my controller gets all sticky.
Ew.
ew.
Valerie and Zale, they talk about, wanting to go do fun adventure stuff. Garl mentions that he wants to see the Sleeper, which he says is like a big serpent that came from the sky, and they lulled it to sleep after it wrapped itself around a mountain, and it's eternally asleep due to the sound that the wind makes as it moves through holes in the mountain.
This is a creepy thing to say, that you want to go see the
I don't know.
Sleeper.
If
I'm
I
not
went
sure I
on a
love it.
continent that had a giant sleeping serpent curled around a mountain and I'd never seen it, I'd be like, I kind of want to see that
I agree.
giant serpent.
I agree, though. I also want to say continent. I don't know, bud. This is a fucking archipelago. Like,
Yeah, it is. They're all on islands.
it's so many islands. It's the artificial separation there that's very noticeable. Kind of annoys me.
Yeah.
But that's
So,
more later in the game stuff.
We make our way through Moon Cradle. Eventually, we run into the kind of grown-up but gender-swapped versions of ourselves. We have instead of a moon
the
girl,
grown-up
we have a moon boy.
solstice warriors.
The grown-up solstice warriors. One of them, and so Valerie is a moon girl. We have a grown-up moon boy, whose
His name is
Brugaves.
Brugave. I don't know.
Brugaves. Yeah.
Brugave.
Brugaves. And then we have Erlina, who is a firewoman.
Goth witch chick.
Yeah. They ask us to try out our baby magic. We get
I don't like the way you phrase that.
we get some baby magic squeaks. That's fun.
Yeah, little sparks.
These two are really kind of bummers. They seemingly do not like being solstice warriors.
Yeah, they seem to not be super into it, and
No.
they really hate the fucking headmaster of
They fucking hate the headmaster.
the headmaster of our solstice school. His name is Moraine, which is the name of kind of the female lead of the Wheel of Time. So that throws me off a bit. Like,
Oh, I don't remember them saying his name. I just always thought he was the headmaster.
oh, it's Moraine. Moraine.
Yeah.
Moraine.
So now,
Yeah, Valerie and Zale are like so excited to start school, and the other two are like, once you get to school, you're gonna
Well,
wish you'd never
it
gone
does
there.
seem like it
You're gonna
kind of
hate it.
sucked. We'll talk about it. It does seem like it kind of sucked, though.
so yeah, these two are downers, but they do help us to realize our baby magic potential. So we're like, now that we have our baby magic, maybe we can go open that door to the first dungeon of the game that we shouldn't go into. So we decide to do that. Valerie is able to summon enough moon magic to get the door open, and we decide to go on a little baby adventure. And we are immediately defeated by the first monsters in the game.
Solstice babies, they make our dreams come true. Bop, sa-dooby-da-wop.
Wap-a-doo-a-dum. Yeah, not only are we defeated, but Garl like takes a full-on
he
claw to the
loses
eye
his
or something
eye.
like that.
Fucking eye. And these things are about to murder us. Like we're doing 1 damage and they are killing us.
Yeah. I like the little scene before you get the door open, because you're like, all right, we're going to open this door and have an adventure. And Garl, because he's fat, is like, hey, let's eat something first.
Okay.
And they're like, why would we eat something? And he's like, you can't go on an adventure without some
Yeah,
snacks.
listen up, my fine fit friend. I'm going to need both of you to put the kibosh on the fucking fat shaming, okay?
I'm not
Like,
shaming fat
legit.
people. I'm
Shaming?
shaming the cliche fat character in this RPG.
Yeah. I would like to have a fat character who doesn't love food and eat all the time. He just has a slow
heavy
metabolism or
character
something.
does have to be the cook always, right? Like,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
You can't have like a they should have had a Gordon Ramsay-esque character where he's like super stylish and just loves to cook great food.
I do like the design decisions here of the Solstice Warrior kids being like orange and blue hair, and they're like glowy and interesting looking, and then Garl's just this fucking like heavy brown-haired normal, like the most generic white boy you've ever seen in your fucking life.
Mm-hmm. And then there's Garl.
Yeah,
they love
adventures
Garl,
together.
though.
I have a question. Are Zale and Valerie brother and sister? And I have a second question. Is Zale a good name or a terrible name?
I mean, it's better than Garl.
I don't believe they're brother and sister. I think that they were delivered at separate times by this eagle. I think they were delivered on their respective solstices when they were born. And I don't think that the solstices are far enough apart for them to have gestated from the same womb. However, it is possible that they share a father. But he's a cad if that's the case, and I'll have
Speaking of
nothing
names,
to do
I
with
always
him.
like to kind of look at the real world version of that. Like, I'm not going to talk about Wheel of Time the whole time here, obviously, but like Wheel of Time is a fun series, and I like to look at the names that he gives that the writer gives those characters and kind of compare them to what they are in the real world. Like, for example, the kind of main protagonist of Wheel of Time is named Rand Althor. But if you really read it all together, his name is just Randall Thor. And I mentioned Moraine, the kind of main female protagonist, I guess. Kind of, there's a bunch. And her bodyguard is named Lan, but his name is actually Lan, with an apostrophe, Lan. And then when you read it in the book, you're like, oh, that guy's named Alan. That's Alan. So I look at Zale and Garl, and I'm like, okay, that's Dale and Carl.
Yeah. What about what's your
And Valerie,
theory on
just Valerie.
What's your theory on Brugaves?
I don't know. You know, I feel like if I understood how it was pronounced, if this game had fucking voice acting, maybe I would get it. Because I think maybe it's more like Brugaves. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Ooh, you think he's Latin?
Yeah. For sure. He's got black hair.
All right. I can get down on that.
You know, Brugaves is not a good name. So
no, that's actually like I think that's the
worst
thing.
one.
That's what I'm squarely against is the name Brugaves. It's terrible.
Brugaves.
Wow, dropping the squarely against right now.
So
amazing.
So the headmaster saves us from these monsters in the cave, and
he executes these fucking things too. Like
he does.
Fucking lasers from the sky just destroy these things.
So bitchy about it because poor Garl there is like clutching his eye, and the headmaster's like, "Oh, be grateful you only lost an eye and not your life."
That seems pretty cold.
I don't know. Actually, I kind of felt the opposite. Like he came in and took care of things and got medical help for the kid and was like, sorry. I thought that he was okay.
I think he could have re-magicked that eye back. I think he didn't
there's
do
no
it on purpose.
Oh, there
just
is
to be a
healing magic.
dick.
So never mind. You're right. He probably could have. We don't know what his deal is either, by the way. Like, is he a sun or a moon? Or is he something else entirely?
He's
Or
like
just a
seemingly
teacher.
not a solstice warrior. It seems like the solstice warriors come in pairs. He's just like a different
I
guy.
suspect that he was a solstice warrior and that his partner is dead.
They do.
Ooh, I suspect his partner is the
I don't think so, because I think the
Fleshmancer.
Fleshmancer, the impression that I get is that the Fleshmancer is like the flesh. First of all, they tell us that the Fleshmancer fled this world years ago, but left all these, quote, dwellers behind as like seeds of destruction. So I don't know that he was even alive when the Fleshmancer was around. But also, I think the Fleshmancer is like, I don't know. We don't know much about that whole deal.
No, I did get the impression that the Fleshmancer was like a alien type
Eldritch.
deal. who came, yeah, and left his, like, because they say that if a dweller develops completely, it becomes a world eater, and then you can't stop it. How they know this, I do not know, because presumably the only way you could figure that out is if one does become a world
Well,
eater and then it
World Eater
eats
could
the
be less of a
world.
title and more of like a level of danger, like a code red or whatever. They could be like, we know this one's as so powerful it could eat the world, so we call them world eaters. But we did manage to kill some at some point.
Like to be so powerful that you could eat the
No,
world.
it sounds terrible. I don't want that type of responsibility.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could resist the temptation.
Why? Do you think it would be tasty?
You have one
It would just taste
bad
like
day
fucking
and-
dirt. You think you're getting all the little flavor bombs of all the all the
don't
apples in
know.
the world and all the? You're not. All you're tasting is dirt.
I think you could. I think you'd get like, sort of like notes of pine. It would be like wine, like, oh, this ocean, I sense seaweed, fish, salt. What, a nice cold Mount Everest for refreshing palate cleanser. Nom 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 nom.
I guess I was
Yes,
thinking
spicy.
more along the lines
Nom, nom,
of
nom,
like
nom,
you
nom.
would eat the world in like one bite, like a little chocolate, and you just be like, count.
Oh no!
But you're thinking of it like
to
it's
do
like
that.
a
I think
big
that I'd
thing.
want to
Like
take
you
my
have
time.
to hold it in two hands and like chew on this part and then chew on that part. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I still think it would just taste like dirt and not good.
Yeah, you might be right. I think you'd really have to just like lick at the surface to get unique flavors, and I could do that right now
Yeah, you do that with
if I
anything.
wanted to.
Jim's eating another egg, and I'm real nervous about his digestive system.
Oh, you think?
I've heard it said that you can look at anything and know how it would feel on your tongue, and ever since I heard that, I do it sometimes, and it's true. Like, we don't spend all that time as babies putting stuff in our mouth for nothing. Look at something in your room and think about what it would feel like to lick it, and you will know, without having to lick it, exactly what that experience would be.
What are we talking about?
Matt has a tin. He looked at the tin.
Is
He's
that a tin of
licking the
Skull?
tin.
No, gross.
What is that?
It's Zen.
Is that a breath mint?
This
I
is
don't
why
know
you
what
don't hear a
Zen
lot of
is.
vaping on the show anymore. It's because I have my little Zin pouches.
Oh,
You guys have heard of these? They're pretty great, actually.
I have heard of them, actually.
It's pretty nice if you don't like. I like to do my vapey stuff, but I don't like to carry it around all the time. And sometimes I want to be someplace indoors, like a ball game or a restaurant, and I'm just like, hey, how about I just have my
You want
little
some
Zin?
nicotine?
There's a little
Yeah.
nicotine pouch. You don't have to spit, which is gross. You just drop it and forget. All right. Well, this has been an ad for Zen. Pay me, Zen. Pay me Marlboro, because I know you fucking
How
own.
did it feel licking
Yeah.
that tin? Was licking that tin what you expected it to be after
it's just a
looking
piece
at the
of
tin?
plastic. I know plastic.
Yeah, see? But you know what it feels like to lick it?
It's true.
All right.
All right, where are we at?
Garl lost his eyeball, and then
Garl lost his eyeball. Now
Moraine,
we're
the
in the training
headmaster.
academy.
Well, yeah, well, you skipped that. So Moraine, the headmaster, is like, okay, well, you did open the door though, so I guess you actually are ready for training. And he tells Garl, he's like, you're not going to see your friends for a long time. And Garl's like, what, a week? No, my friend, much longer than a week. In fact, they are training
much
for
longer.
1 decade.
Yep, 10 whole years. The headmaster takes us up to the training academy, which is like this floating thing in the sky, and tells us that we need to be up here to train because being closer to the stars amplifies our cool magic powers.
It is a cool floating school, which is neat.
Yeah, he tells us that there are 2 things that we need to learn to do, which is to be good at fighting and controlling our magic, and we need to put a lot of time into weaving our magical wills into pieces of fabric that are unique to our characters.
I have no idea what role these are going to play in this game.
I don't either. And I've played almost this entire game. I don't know the significance of these things, but I guess it helps our well, no, they do kind of explain it in this chunker, I think, a little bit, where they're like, you need these magical garments to be able to do magic without doing magic, I think is how they phrase it.
But when you do that, you never like use them.
Yeah, and also Garl can do it, so.
Yeah, I actually have thoughts about that as well, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So we get a whole like little training section. We can run around the training academy and talk to different people, but we eventually get like a whole training montage of our characters doing push-ups and
climbing ladders
and doing magic.
This is actually maybe the smallest school I've ever seen, because it is just a bedroom, which is large, like a barrack style bedroom.
And we're sleeping in beds, then we weave till we can't weave no more.
And there's a pretty small, to be honest with you, training room.
It's the Valerie and Zale training montage. It's here, and we're going to watch them grow and prosper. It's the training montage, and my song is...
I know there's a lot to dislike about the, like, Trey Parker, Matt Stone-averse, but in Team America, there's a montage scene, and it's soundtracked to a song called Time for a Montage, and the lyrics are, let's do a montage, and it's just describing things that are happening on the screen, where it's like, we get stronger in a montage, and then at the end when it fades out and he's like, everything fades out in a montage.
You know, I was gonna
So
say the
great.
exact. I thought I was thinking the exact same thing, except I guess they did it twice, because in their earlier movie Basketball, there is the exact same thing where he does.
Maybe I'm thinking of, no, I think it's in Basketball, and I think it's in an episode of South Park. I don't think it's in Team America.
It's definitely Basketball, where he does they do the montage song, and it's fucking hilarious, and it's maybe the best part of that movie.
Yeah,
I'll be in a
really
montage.
Graduate.
That Basketball movie.
There's
Too
nothing
much
ashamed
shame.
about that. It's a good movie. I watched that with Connor not too long ago. Like, it's fun. It's got a
still
lot of
holds up
gross
pretty
jokes,
much,
but that's what they do.
I still think about, there's a line in that movie that I still think about all the time, where one of the characters is like being asked to go to a hospital, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll go, I love hospitals, and his friend turns around and goes, no you don't, you like Taco Bell.
I always
makes me laugh.
There's a lot of problems with Jenny McCarthy that I don't want to get into.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say that her whole role in that movie of trying to sleep with this older rich man, and him saying things that should be like
sexual innuendo,
and then he's, it's like, oh, let's come to my place and we'll lay some carpet, and then it cuts and she's literally laying carpet in his
office.
There's one about like sucking the chrome off of a trailer hitch or something, and then it cuts and she's got silver lipstick on and looks unhappy. It's very funny.
She has a trailer hitch in her hand.
That's a pretty fucking good movie.
Yeah, it is a funny movie.
Also, kind of prescient, because a lot of that stuff that they were like, fucking professional sports have gotten so stupid with their like celebrations, and boy, watch a football game today. It's wild. Literally, one of the jokes in the movie is that all the football players score and then all line up and do like the river dance. And listen, they don't do the river dance now, but boy, I've seen 5 or 6 guys all get in a row and do a dance, and that's wild.
I thought they weren't allowed to do that
They did
anymore,
have a rule against it for a long time, and they rolled it back not too long ago, a few years ago. And they have gotten wild.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Cowards.
I don't know. Sometimes it's fun, but then sometimes it's too much.
I think it's fun when they're unique, but some of them are.
Everybody's doing the same thing
fun.
now. You shut down a pass in a football game, and everybody does the same thing of like pointing and then pointing the other way, and being like, whoa, and it's like, get out of here.
At least we're not Tim Tebowing anymore.
Tebowing.
So we get a scene kind of at the, I think it's actually pre-montage of Brugaves and Erlina talking to the headmaster, and they kind of go to the headmaster and be like, when is all of this enough? Like that now there's a new kids. When is this enough?
Well, they specifically, the reason they say that, I want to point out the context, is they say there's one dweller left.
Yeah.
There's one dweller left, and when that's done, it's done. And what do we need these kids for? Like, do we have to lock these kids in this life?
Yeah. I wish they would have articulated that a little bit better. Because it does add a dramatic element to the game that I feel like they don't really hit hard enough on. But I like that Brugave's asked, when will all this be enough? He mentions someone named Moyara and makes a reference to the twins.
Yep.
And it's important because Moyara and the twins are highlighted a different color in the dialogue window.
I suspect that Moyara is maybe
his partner,
Moraine's partner. That's dead.
He seems like a moon. He seems like a moon guy.
Sense.
He has a moon staff.
Does he? He has
his staff seems like has a crescent moon on it.
But it has a little.
I guess it does.
It has a little.
It has a circle on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I guess maybe we'll find out. And we don't know anything about the twins.
Yeah.
But I also find this a little weird where they're like, when is this enough? And like, well, when there's no more threats to the world, dude. Like, what are you talking about?
Maybe when the great eagle stops dropping children off at our town.
For real, though.
So if these kids have like magic powers, it's probably not responsible to just let them run fancy-free, fast.
Well, at the very least, train them up, like
things on fire.
Maybe they. I don't get it either. Where it's like, well, yeah, there's one dweller left, and we have these kids. Let's go kill that last dweller, and then when's it enough? Maybe then, like, let's do that first, and instead of being like, let's fuck this, we're done.
Yeah,
you can't train these kids for 10 years. I don't know. They went to school. It's not that big of a deal.
So the headmaster is like, I'm not talking about this anymore. He ends the conversation. We get another cutscene of the headmaster talking to Valerie and Zale and says that the Solstice Warriors are around to fight Dwellers, but Dwellers are also immune to Solstice magic, but their Solstice magic is effective against Dwellers during an eclipse. Mm-hmm. So it's the job of Solstice Warriors during an eclipse to go fight the Dweller and banish it.
Cool.
All right.
We get another cutscene of Garl dropping off some delicious preserves or jam.
Cookies. They're cookies.
It is. Yeah, it's a cookie jar. And he writes us a nice note.
And he keeps saying that he's made the filling out of sap from the special life tree.
Yeah, there's a special. If you look at the environment in the town, there is a willow tree with glowing leaves. It's the celestial willow, I want to say. And so he has made these cookies with the celestial willow sap, having turned that into jam or something. And apparently that's a big no-no, but he did it anyway because he loves his friends.
Garl's the best. I like that. I like that Garl is like Ramus, but has none of the negative qualities of Ramus. I don't know if you guys remember Ramus, but Ramus was a devout capitalist and also loved underage porn.
He was underage, so I don't know. He was a little less gross, I guess. I don't want to talk. I actually don't want to examine that. I will say, Ramus, I feel like ultimately I think that they're going to be very different characters. Ramus came along for the adventure and then realized it was too scary and too much and went to go start his own business. And it feels like Garl is more going to be a party member eventually or a big part of the game.
Yeah, Garl's pretty great.
And again, he's the only one that has a personality.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of it, is that compared to the other characters in the game, he's much more emotive. All the other characters, it's kind of like Poochie. Whenever Garl's not on screen, all the other characters are talking about Garl. So Garl leaves us some nice cookies, and then we actually flash forward to a scene where we finish our magic garments.
Yeah, we finally finished weaving our magic cloths.
Our magic Mormon underwear.
Mm-hmm. For sure, that's what happens.
I guess that's like the end of our training. We imbue our will into these garments, and then we tell the headmaster, and he's like, all right, time for your final test.
I like his line here where he was like, yep, I have really felt the magic popping off for the last few days, so I knew it was coming. Also, there's a lot of...
I have some problems with their whining about weaving.
No,
like, a lot of people love to weave. They
like,
do it
what
as a
else would
hobby.
you
On a
rather be
loom?
doing?
Though, like, people like to knit
Yeah.
and, like, do things by hand, but, like, working at a loom is not fucking fun. Come on.
That's the kind of stuff they made
guess it is.
slaves do back in the day.
It's the type of stuff that children still probably do
Wow.
today in certain parts of the world.
It's true.
Yeah,
they love
Vanessa.
They get paid great wages, have great benefits.
There's also there's a lot of lines here kind of snuck into the dialogue that I'm sure are pretty obvious, but about how these kids are fucking powerful. Like they are really have a lot of potential. Like everybody can tell. These kids have got a lot of magic in them.
Yeah, these are...
And it's a terrible thing to tell a kid that they have a lot of potential. Nobody needs that
Oh,
pressure.
these are magic babies.
Not all kids are the same, and some kids like hearing that.
I never
Yeah,
lived
that's why you
up
don't
to
like it.
my potential.
Vanessa's projecting onto Valerie and Zale.
I am.
So we get another little tutorial here where Erlina teaches us about magic and Brugaves teaches us about physical combat. There's a timing element to the combat that I'm curious what you guys think about it.
So I used to love this. I loved it in the old Mario RPG. I was really happy about Lost Odyssey when that game came out, and I saw that it had a similar thing. As I've gotten older, I have kind of gotten more bored with it. I also was, as a kid, I had way less patience for just like the standard turn-based combat-y stuff that I have learned to really love, you know? So I don't know what that is. Like, so it's fine. I don't worry about it that much. If I don't hit it, I don't hit it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's fun. It adds. I like that it's. I like. It's similar to Super Mario RPG. It's offensive and defensive timing, so you can negate a certain percentage of the damage if you hit the button at the right time when you're being attacked. You can add a certain damage modifier if you hit the button at the right time when you're attacking. And I think that's cool. One thing I love that they did is the like Valerie's Moonerang. The fact that you can continue to deflect it, as long as you're nailing the timing and just doing attacks over and over and over and over again, like similar to Super Mario RPGs, like Mario Jump.
It's the Mario Jump. I actually kind of like when you. It's weird, right? Because Zales is so fucking easy. You hold it down until it's as big as it'll get, and then you let it go. And after you've done it once, you know when it's going to be as big as it's going to get and when to let it go. And hers is so much harder. And there are so many times when I fuck it up and miss it after the first one, the second one. And it kind of annoys me, honestly. It wouldn't annoy me so much if they didn't have the locks, which we haven't gotten into yet. But sometimes you need to hit it a certain number of times, and you just fuck it up, and that sucks.
What I always do is, especially, well, this is specific to the Moonerang, but I always look right at Valerie, and every time I see, like, in my field of vision, that Moonerang get close, I just hit the button. Like, I can do it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, for me, it's when, like, basically when it starts getting fat, after the first couple, I basically hit the button as soon as it hits the enemy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can't do that. You got to wait till it gets close to Valerie.
No, you really don't. Once it's moving fast enough.
It gets fast enough.
Yeah, it goes faster with each one, again, like the Mario Jump. So after a couple of hits, I just start looking for it to hit the monster, and then
Just
instantly,
tap.
I hit it on that point, and that usually gets me several hits. But even then, eventually you can't keep up.
Vanessa, were you going to say something or no? Okay. All right, so the headmaster's like, all right, let's do your trial so you can become real solstice warriors. We do like this little temple dungeon that's like takes 5 minutes, and at the end of it we fight like a robot.
I like the
named
robot.
Word.
His name is
I like
Weird.
the robot too. Whoa, it's weird. I liked this robot is basically a copy of Gato from Chrono Trigger.
This game has a lot of Chrono Trigger influence, but without the interesting
Yeah.
characters or plot.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, I will say, I'm interested in the plot in this game. Like, the world is interesting, and I want to know what's going on. It's the characters, Zale and Valerie, that I find just fucking boring.
Yeah, I think it's the characters and the setting that don't quite live up to Chrono Trigger. Like in Chrono Trigger, like there's the Millennium Fair is happening, and you get like all these hints of like this bigger world, and there's multiple continents. They mention these armies and peace and battles in the past, and you don't get that. You're like, I'm in a place called Moon Cradle, and I guess there's an academy, and also this fat kid likes giving me food at night.
Yeah, well, and there's a big monster, and we have to kill the big monsters. Like, there's not a lot. You don't get a lot of sense of history outside of like.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, but the Fleshmancer is a
more.
good name, and I'm curious about it. I hope we find out more, and the Dwellers are interesting. Like, it's got some interesting stuff that I want to know more about. But again, for me, the big problem is that Valerie and Zale are just fucking blank slate, boring ass, nothing characters.
Yeah.
And it's fine for it's weird because it's like kind of so is Chrono. It's kind of fine for like that to be your main character, but then when the game is like, but we have two of them, I just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, oh, so two of my main characters are boring.
You're right. I think that if Valerie and Zale were silent protagonists, I don't think the game would be any different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not really contributing anything to the vibe of the world or the story itself through their dialogue.
They'll find some character later in the game.
I hope they do. So we beat Weird, and now the elder or the headmaster is like, hey, it's time to leave Moon Cradle. You need to venture up the mountain and go speak to the Elder Mist. And the Elder Mist is going to talk to you about your magical clothes and also tell you, about your destiny or whatever.
But before we can do that, we get to have a fun going away party down in Moon Cradle.
But Garl's not there.
But Garl's not there. But
the most important person in the world, Garl.
When Garl's not there, they keep asking, where's Garl?
I will say I did kind of like the set piece here of like, I mean, this is a very short scene, but I like the idea of these like, simple folk that live in Moon Cradle just kind of specifically to support this school. And that's it. And that's their lives, because it talks about like, I think it's Gaves and what's her face that are talking about like, oh, like, whoa, we got to do this. And Gaves is like, well, this is all these people really have. Like, this is their whole life, is just supporting this place and these people, and they deserve like their moment of like, triumph, of happiness, of seeing that their hard work has paid off in these new solstice warriors. And I liked that, and it kind of made me have good feels for the town folk here of like, like, look at you, like, working hard, just growing your crops so you can send them up to the school so the solstice warriors can eat.
I wish they would have done a little bit more exposition about the academy and the cycle of solstice warriors. Like, are there only like what point are there new solstice warriors? Like, why are there kid ones when there are already adult ones? Are there going to be more kid ones?
You got to train the next generation. And if you look at the school, the little dorm room that they're in has like fucking 8 beds per side. So
there's
clearly,
a billion beds in here.
It has tons. But the guy just says, like, sleep in whatever bed you want. Just pick, like, the side that aligns with your magic.
What? Okay.
Hey, if you got the moon magic, you got to sleep in the moon bed so you can collect moon magic at night, I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
Mm-hmm. If he's got the sun magic, you got to sleep on the sun side. Seems like it would make more sense to divide it by, like,
Whoa.
gender, perhaps, but,
Sexist.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
right. I should be canceled for that.
True. So we
And they should
get
only
to
use
go
the right
in-
bathrooms, right, Vanessa?
So we get to go back into the Forbidden Cavern. This is where Garl lost his eye. This is where I think the game, innovates the most and the most effectively is the traversal around these 2D environments. Because it really makes full use of the depth of the environments and the like different verticality. Yeah, you can climb up things if they look climbable. There are a lot of dimensions to the settings.
You can jump, which is
you can
huge.
jump. That's a big thing. Jump from platform to platform.
The areas almost feel like it's not just dungeons, because it happens in like not the overworld, but the towns and stuff as well. But like it almost feels platformery, except you don't really control the jump. So it's definitely not a platformer because you hit the button and they jump to the next thingy. But the next step. But I will say the first time I realized like I was running around the world, it was in the town and there was like a little, little step in the world, and I kind of hit the button and they just kind of stepped up it. I was like, whoa, like I'm not, there's like there's a slight rise in the ground of like 1 foot, and that's not a permanent block that I can never get over. Crazy. But you get into this dungeon and you're climbing up the walls and you're jumping across platforms, and it does feel a lot. This is definitely one of the best parts of the game, gameplay wise. Like it feels good to run around these little environments and actually like do more than just move from room to room.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I think that might be the thing I like most about this game when it comes to actually playing it, is that the dungeons feel so multifaceted in terms of it's like how do I get to the next place, but also two, like there's so many little secrets hidden in different areas that you can just get to if you're looking closely enough. Like you can unlock whole different areas of the dungeon if you just realize, oh, I can actually just jump down into this little like wet area and run like there's a lot of little places like that the game, like the level design in this, I think that's what I'm getting at. The level design in this game is excellent.
And it does a great job doing something that I think we all love, which is tucking away little treasure chests and little things to find.
Love it.
On top of there's treasure chests, and there's also like little there's food to collect all over the place. They kind of sparkle, and it'll be like, oh, here's a little berry bush, and here's some wheat. And it's always kind of, not always, but it's often kind of tucked away, and it makes you feel, it feels good to explore. This is a great exploring game. Check every corner, go through every door, just do every little thing, because there's always going to be something. It may not be something amazing, but it's always something satisfying to find, to get to.
One of the things I love about these early levels is that to your point, Matt, the food part where there are these sparkly food items you can get to do your cooking with, but at the beginning they're usually kind of on the edge of the screen or at the edge of the environment. So you're like, how do I get there? And that's when you kind of challenge yourself to be like, oh, I can actually just run up to the edge, press A or press X or whatever, and just go down there. Like, whereas you wouldn't be able to do that in a normal SNES kind of 2D RPG.
Definitely the level designs here are far superior to your classic JRPG of just mostly a series of rooms that you have to work your way through. Like it's not like they're hard puzzles or anything, but it's just satisfying to play.
Yeah, they're super fun. It's super fun to like be able to manipulate the environment in that way.
What do you think, Vanessa?
Like you said, very satisfying.
I think it is fun, and I like that. I always dislike in a game where you don't have the ability to like climb over something or jump over something, that especially things that you should be able to, like a small bush or something like that, So I like that there's a little bit of it. It makes it more fun to walk around. I like that it's not random encounters. Like you can see the creatures as you approach them and you kind of know what's going to happen. So yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a fun way to do something that looks so throwback, but give it contemporary
I think that
sensibilities.
I think that the
Sorry, go ahead.
classic conceit of like you walk around the world and just random battles happen was more of a limitation on the systems at the time, and is now more of like it's becoming more commonplace in modern RPGs, turn-based style, like this type of game. But you see it in the Personas and Metaphor and all sorts of stuff like this, where it's like the enemies are on the overworld, and you can usually hit them first. But you don't. This game doesn't let you really do that. It kind of does, but at the very least, like you can hit them, you can avoid them, you can see them. Versus the old, and it's just there's no reason for that anymore, because that's, as a kid, one of my biggest turnoffs of games. Like, I mean, Chrono Trigger obviously famously did it early on. But one of my biggest turnoffs of JRPGs in the past when I was younger was those random battles. Like, that shit just annoyed me.
That's actually one of the things I'm grateful for in this game, is because I think if this game had random battles, it would just feel like so much more of a grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's like, I think it would kind of ruin the exploratory element of the environments, where you're like testing, can I jump down here? Can I climb on this? Can I jump to that? I think it would kind of make that annoying.
Yeah.
Make that a slog.
I mean, I think of playing the original like Dragon Quests and Final Fantasies as a kid and hating, like, for that exact reason. Like, I want to explore this area, but like every 3 steps, I'm just now I'm in a fight and it sucks.
Yeah. So we get through this forbidden cavern. At the end of it, there's a boss called a boss slug. This thing looks just like Lavos.
Yeah.
This is a Chrono Trigger Lavos copy. It's definitely a little more wormy than Lavos. I feel like that's more of like we have a little more technical freedom kind of thing. It does do some
the
wiggling around the
animations of
environment.
it. Yes, it wiggles around. It slams itself. Actually, it's huge, and it
I think that's pretty
slams
cool.
itself against the walls,
Yeah.
and it's cool and like. But it's not a hard fight like you. So
No, yeah.
let's talk a little more here about, now we're deeper into the game. Let's talk a little bit more about the combat, because there's a lot of little things here, right? On top of we talked about the button press to get a little extra hit aspect of it. But we also have, we talked about the magic a bit. Obviously you have magic, but we have the combos. This is some real, more Chrono Trigger stuff. You have a little combo meter that you build up, and you can kind of unleash these.
Right, and each combo costs 1 to 3 pips. But once it's full, you're supposed to use the combos right away, because you lose the ability to keep amassing
it's not
combo
persistent.
points
Yeah.
if it's full.
Speaking of, we didn't talk about the magic, the mana, which you get by doing physical attacks on enemies. When you do a physical attack on an enemy, you regain mana, and then that allows you. So if you start a fight with full mana, you basically should blow through it, so that you can then you move on to the physical attacks to regain your mana. The game explicitly tells you that. It's like if you have full mana and you're just doing physical attacks, you're wasting your fucking time.
Yeah.
I appreciate this. I like it a lot better than chugging down mana potions or something
and
like that.
I also like that the game does give you the ability to chug down a mana potion if you want, though.
Yeah, well, a mana sandwich.
Mana sandwich. But yeah, it's super fun. And I like that. I like the combo system because you can unlock more things, and like you said, it's like Chrono Trigger where it's character specific. So if depending on who you have in your party, your combos are different. So Valerie and Zale have their combos, which are kind of the most boring ones, but Garl gets some.
Whoa, spoilers.
The other characters will get some cool combos. Like it keeps things feeling fresh. And I just love the timing element that they incorporate into it. It just feels very satisfying.
There's a lot of little pieces to the combat that do keep it entertaining, which is nice.
We should talk about I don't know what you call it, I guess the lock system?
Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Yes, they call it the lock system. So When an enemy is when you are in a battle, the enemy will have a timer counting down until its next turn, which is based on your turns.
I love that, by the way. I love knowing when an enemy is going to attack next. It adds a whole other element of strategy to the fight that you don't really get in these turn-based RPGs.
And there's the whole defense button press thing.
Yes, yeah.
But in regard to the lock system, so it'll tell you like one more turn, and the turn isn't like your whole party. It's one action from you equals one tick on their timer. But sometimes they'll have a lock above their head, and that lock will be like, so Valerie does bludgeoning damage, Zale does slashing damage, and then they do moon and sun damage. And sometimes the monsters, if they're building up to a big attack, like a big magic attack, will have a lock above their head that will have like bludgeoning, slash. And so you need to hit it with 2 bludgeoning attacks and a slash attack. And if you do, you'll interrupt their spell or their attack. And since you have the ability to button press at the right time to do a double attack, that makes it so that if you want to stop that spell from happening, hit them with 2 bludgeonings, do it good so that you get 2 attacks, because it's like 2 turns is all you've got, two actions is all you got, and a slash, or use a fire attack and then do a slash attack or do a bludgeoning attack. It gets pretty complicated.
I like it. And one of the things that I like about this system is that even if you let's say you waste a turn where you do a physical attack where you should have done a magic one on the thing with the lock icons.
Yeah, I fuck these up because I don't know how I keep doing this, but I keep mixing up who does bludgeoning and who does slashing.
Yeah. I always have to check, when you select an action from a character, it tells you, But one of the things that I like about it is that even if you don't, if you can't cancel all of them and cancel the entire turn, each little square is tied to a percentage value on the strength of that attack that they're charging up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you cancel and it never really goes below maybe 45 or 40%, but if they have let's say 5 of the squares that you need to negate, if you get 3 of them, it'll probably bring that down to about 65%. And you can tell there's a little percentage meter on the top of it if you look really closely, where you can see I got it, I might not have negated it, but it's down to 60%, so it's not going to hurt as bad.
Yeah,
which I think is great.
Early in the game here, they typically only have 2 or 3. I don't know what to call them, things on the lock. It does definitely get way more complicated. Later there'll be 4, and it's basically you better do a combo attack and nail the timing so that they do a double combo or a double hit combo, because if you don't, you're not getting that lock. Or this is where it kind of drives me nuts with the Moonerang, because there's 2 or 3 moon attacks, and it means you better do that Moonerang attack right or you're fucked. And sometimes I can do it 15 fucking times, and sometimes I can fuck it up on the first try.
The last boss at the end of the next chunker has that counter, her turn counter will turn up to 4, but she'll get a lock system that has 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And so there's a real strategy element to where what order do I need my characters to attack in, and what do I need them to do?
Yeah.
And I just like planning all that stuff out.
I like it a lot,
really
but
fun.
I also kind of wish it happened less often. I wish it was a rare thing, because even towards the end of this chunker, I felt like every fight I got into, I had to deal with a lock, and I was getting to the point where I was like, can I just fucking fight these things? In fact, I was kind of just blowing past it by ignoring the lock and just hitting the one enemy with the lock with everybody so that it would just die.
Yeah. That's one thing that in this early game that Moonerang is very useful for, is just doing damage to everyone on the field.
I feel like
you don't get a lot of AoE attacks.
I feel like it runs out of damage though. It's one of those things. I swear in Mario you could do it so many times that you insta killed anything, and I swear in this I have hit things 30 fucking times, and still it's like 45 damage.
Did you get the achievement for doing it more than 25 times?
No.
I think at 25 times it pops you a trophy.
I may have it. I bet I have it from my last playthrough, but not
I bet
today.
you do. But like after a certain amount of time, it does stop. One time I was like, I kept doing it, and I swear I got probably. It felt like I did it 50 times, and like the damage indicator on the enemy was like 29. It's like, oh, all right, that wasn't worth it. So we get through the mountain trail. We beat the boss slug.
It's a cool fight.
It is a cool fight. After we leave this area, we can get to our first fishing mini game.
Oh, that's fun. Vanessa,
fishing,
how do you feel about fishing mini games? Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Bear back.
I think there's the bestest. I was delighted to see that there was a fishing minigame in this. I probably fished more than was strictly necessary at this point, since we don't even have a way to cook them yet.
It's a well done mini game. You cast your lure out into the pond. You have to get it kind of within a certain radius of things to get their attention, but not too close to them or it'll scare them away. And then when you reel them back in, it's more about just keeping them. There's a kind of a flashing lane that happens on the screen, and you just kind of have to control your rod left or right to keep it in that lane. And it kind of will move around back and forth as you reel it in. They can be, the ponds are pretty big. They can be far away. The closer ones are easier, obviously, but and you get cooking stuff out of this. You get food. You fillet these fish, and I think the first one I don't remember what the fish is called, but there's a fish and a man-o-war, which is like a jellyfish that you can grab. Jim's gone. You have to pay attention and talk to me.
I am paying attention. There is a fish and there's a man-o-war, which is like a jellyfish that you can grab.
Pay attention. I meant look at me and talk to me.
Oh, okay. I was just listening to this like a podcast. Is that not what I'm supposed to be doing?
I mean, it sounds like a fun way to go about it, to be honest with you.
I'm just like, yes, tell me more.
Well, since Jim's gone, what did you think of that worm boss? Yeah, boss slug.
I didn't hate it, I guess. I just thought it was sluggy. I do think it looked a little like Lavos. It was big, which I appreciated. Like, I like it when a boss is big, but it wasn't like a very large man, which I do not like. What I don't like is when a boss fight makes it big, but it's just a guy, and suddenly it's a guy.
That's
who's
a lot
like
of like
huge.
classic Final Fantasy game bosses, where it's like on the screen, Kefka's just a little dude, but when you fight him, he's this massive fuck, and you're still just a tiny guy. You're a hobbit, and Kefka's a fucking giant.
And I'm like,
this
makes no sense.
I did feel like it was a good teaser for what's to come, because I was like, it looks great, it's animated super well, and I bet we're going to get some crazy stuff. Jim, you were gone, so I rolled us back to the boss fight because we talked all we wanted to talk about fishing.
That's all right. So after we discover the fishing minigame, which contributes to the cooking part of it, which we haven't really got into yet. Well, it makes sense because we don't really have Garl back yet, but now's the time where we go to the mountain trail. If you're playing, I guess, the version of the game that has the flashback, this is where we catch up to where the flashback started in the prologue. Garl, our characters, Valerie and Zale, are sitting around a campfire, and basically, like they do seemingly all the time, where it's just like, where's Garl at? Wish Garl was here. Garl's pretty cool. And then Garl's like in a bush for some reason. And he's like, hey, guess what? I'm actually here now.
He's just like, yeah, ta-da! I've been here the whole time. And they're like, why weren't you at our going away party? And he's like, oh, I had to get some berries out of the bush. I'm ready for adventures.
One of the things I like about Garl in this scene that I thought was really endearing is they're like, we've been training for 10 years to do this. Like, you're probably not qualified for what's going on. And he's like, actually, like, I've been going through survival training too. And I feel like I'm actually pretty tough. And I have this pot lid that I can use as like a bashing shield. And he's like, I'm a warrior cook. And I was like, that's the fucking coolest class I've ever heard of in my life. That is such a good class.
Gordon Ramsay in the Middle Ages. Like, I'm going to fillet this fish, and also I'm going to beat the shit out of you with my pot.
I'm going to stab you in the throat, and then I'm going to make a broccoli stew.
Yeah, Garl pops out of the bushes. What he says is that he heard you were coming, so he ran off to collect supplies because he has spent all this time learning how to survival and learning to cook. And then by the time, because it really, and this is true, I guess, by the time he was done collecting his supplies, you were gone. The going away ceremony is quick. It's like, hi, here's these kids. All right, get the fuck out of here. Mm-hmm. So he is just caught up with you.
Yeah, and Garl's actually, I don't use he's not a magical character, so he doesn't have a lot of great offensive magic, but he does he can do some real big physical damage. Mm-hmm. He's great to have around.
A couple of things here. First of all, we kind of skipped over this, and I did want to talk about it a little bit. When we leave the first cave and before we head to this area, we do get our kind of first taste of the little overworld.
Oh, yeah, it's very Chrono Triggery.
It's super Chrono Triggery. Mm-hmm. Like tiny little characters moving around this little world.
Yeah. You kind of move from place to place, yeah.
And Garl has two fantastic... I mean, they are maybe less interesting on easy mode, but Garl has two special attacks. One is Hurl, where he basically picks a monster up and throws it at another monster, which is pretty good, actually.
Honestly, that one always confuses me because, like, it asks you to select a target when you pick that attack, and I was like, am I picking the person that's gonna receive the throw or the person that I am throwing? I mean, that's what always trips me up.
Oh, Chungus, you're so fat.
I know she was trying to get up into my lap.
I mean, it seems like the type of thing that you should be able to figure out after the first try, right? Because either he picks up the person you chose.
I did it once and then probably didn't pay attention.
But he does have he has a heal, and which Zale has a heal as well, a magic heal. But Garl has a heal where he just throws you an item out of his pack.
Yeah.
He throws you a sandwich and it heals you, and that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Garl's a great character. You know what? Like, I know we were like, I feel like a lot of what we're saying about Garl is like the fat kid earlier is more of a function of like how he's introduced in the story. But as you get more Garl, I feel like you how can you not like Garl?
Yeah. Well, again, he's the only character with a personality. But also,
he's also eternally positive. Yeah. He's also very insightful. Never has a negative thing to say. Like, he's just a good, sunny character.
So Zale and Valerie,
he's a good girl.
Zale and Valerie tell him, like, you can't come with us. Like, we have to go do magic stuff. And and I love his response of like, well, listen, first of all, the monsters that you're fighting are not magic. Like, you're just fighting monsters. And I can fight monsters. Like, I know that I can't. He basically is like, I know I can't help you fight the Dweller, but everything else is just a monster. It's just a creature that lives in the land. Like, maybe your special magic is needed to fight the Eldritch gods, but when it comes to fighting off a mountain lion, I got good news. I know what to do.
Yeah, I can punch a goblin in the mouth. It's
can punch a fucking goblin right in its mouth. And also.
He's also like, I also know like what to eat.
Yeah, he's also like, he knows like, because you forage in this game, you can pick up items, and so he knows what to do with them. So when you get to campfires, this kind of unlocks a new mechanic.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, we've run across some campfires, but we haven't talked about them. Like, what are these? They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're basically
Places
like rest
you can
areas,
rest
yeah.
at.
I know.
But also, once you have Garl, you can cook. So the items that you forage, you can unlock different recipes. You can buy different recipes at merchants, and they will unlock different kind of food effects.
Two things.
We get very nice
Yes.
little animations of like basically 3 stills of
I
the
like it.
cooking.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's great. It's
I like
not.
it
It
too.
doesn't overstay its welcome. Like you hold down the button to cook something, right? And you'll get these little stills, and it has like some great sound effects here of like things sizzling and things being chopped up. But it doesn't overstay its welcome, which is something from, I want to say it was Final Fantasy 15, where every time you cooked something, it felt like it went on forever.
Yeah, I think what Sea of Stars does, similar to actually what Resident Evil 8 does when you cook stuff in that, is you get the ingredients, you select it, you have to hold it down, and there's just a little, maybe 4 to 5 seconds of chop, 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 chop. Dish it, like you get a sound of a dish. And then one of the things I love, they don't do it in Sea of Stars, but I love it in Resident Evil 8. When it's done, when you've completed it, there's a completion ding, like the food is ready, like somebody's ringing a bell at a food pass. Ding.
Yeah.
I love that.
That reminds.
One thing that I think is essential is that you can cook
Yeah.
multiples
Yes,
of one item
love
at the same
that.
time without
Without
seeing
having
the
to hold
animation
it,
every single
yeah,
time.
multiple times. Yeah,
That reminds
That's
me of
good.
Zelda, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where like you do your cooking and you can have like at the end of it, there's the you did it jingle. There's the you did it really well jingle, which boy, that hits you right in the dopamine. Like that one is the best. And then there's the you fucked up jingle where you're like, oh no. Anyway, the other thing that I like about Garl here is that his whole purpose here, like, is I'm gonna support you. And it just feels nice in a way where he's like, I'm not here for glory. I'm not here to be the big guy. I'm supporting you, the solstice magic, blah, blah, which again, but it just makes him a more likable character.
It does. I like that he's like, he doesn't have an agenda. He's like, I'm here because you're my friends.
Yeah.
And I want to help you. And so, like, I think that's very sweet.
Let's just call him what he is. He's a samurai.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a Sam Ganji.
Yeah. It's really, it works really well. And it's the type of thing you typically don't see in these games. All of these characters that you collect in your Final Fantasies and your fucking Dragon Quests, they're all like there for a reason. And Garl's just there because he fucking likes you. And it really like, I hate to repeat myself, but it just hits you right in the dopamine. You're like, yes, yes.
Yes. You're like, yeah. You can't not like Garl. Like, he's just a great character.
Speaking of, he is missing that eye. That is.
Yeah, that eye's gone.
He's not wearing a patch.
He has a
He's just
cool-
got a cool scar.
Yeah.
He's still a hefty dude, which speaking of, Johnny wanted to point out that Garl is a Johnny boyfriend, but only if he's 18 years or older, which I think he must be. They're in their 20s, I think. I think let's say they're
At least
8,
20.
Probably 10 at the start of the game, and 10 years pass. So they got to be 18 to 20.
20-ish. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Garl's great. So we get through the mountain trail, which is again a pretty short area. Not a lot of traversal stuff. It's taking it pretty easy on you. And then we get to the Elder Mist, which is just a cloud guy.
Wait, are we not doing the Elder Mist trial?
We can talk about it. Oh.
Did you not
I
play
want
it? That's crazy. It's the end of the game.
He said, go to where you meet the Elder Mist. I met the Elder Mist.
Jim, do better at this. Are you kidding me?
I was trying to keep it short for this one. Next one, we're gonna almost finish this whole first chapter. So
Well, there's only 30 chapters in the game, so don't worry, listeners.
There's 3 chapters in the game.
There's a very clear endpoint to this chunker, and it's what I played to just assuming.
Yeah, I know. It's a weird spot to stop. But
Well, God forbid you spend 10 minutes playing the one dungeon and learning about the world.
I know, yeah. So yeah, that's it for this chunker. Elder Mist, we do get some dialogue from him before we save.
How dare you just say Elder Mist like people know what that means? Describe.
I don't know how to describe it. He's like an
like a fart.
anthropomorphic cloud.
He's a fart.
He's a fart cloud.
He's a fart
he's a
with
fart.
a fart
He's Cloud
mustache.
from Final Fantasy VII.
With a fart mustache, but when you look at the like portrait of the Elder Cloud, it is a fart, but it doesn't have. It has human eyes, but it doesn't just have human eyes. It has like human eyes and like the area around the eyes, which is very creepy.
He tells us that we have, like to your point earlier, Matt, we have a lot of potential. We're very magic babies. And he is also confused that Garl is there. He also makes some cryptic comments about Garl. He says, like, oh, is this... he has a pure heart. Can he do something? He kind of references something that Garl might be able to do.
Yeah, he's... So, all right, so... The Solstice Warriors, he's like, oh, good to see you. I'm happy to see your little cool flappy cloths that you made. Who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's our best friend Garl, and he came anyway, even though we told him not to. And Garl's like, hello, sir, it's nice to meet you, and also I really want to join them on their journey. And the Elder Mist kind of thinks to himself, like, he does have a very pure heart. Can he, I don't remember exactly how he phrases it, but he's like, can he unlock it?
It's like, can he calm the heart of X, or
No,
can he unlock X?
Yeah, that's the prophecy that we'll get next chunker. At this point, it literally is just like, could he do it? And like, it is like purple and shaking.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. We don't know what that means. But I do love that Garl is like, hello, sir, I also would like to go on this journey with these people. And the Elder Mist, which you kind of assume from what Moraine has said, the headmaster, and from what Zale and Valerie have said, you kind of assume that the obvious answer is like no, but instead the Elder Mist is like, you know what? You seem like a cool kid. You go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, you seem like a real chill dude.
You go ahead.
Yeah,
Like,
the Elder Mist is way more like lax than anyone we've met so far.
Yeah.
He's cool. He's all about Garl. He's like, do it, Garl. Go with them. You're crazy, but go with them. You're gonna die.
Get it, Garl. Get it, Garl.
Get it, Garl. You're gonna die.
Yes, Garl.
Go with your friends.
Yeah,
I guess.
Garl. Slay, Garl.
Oh man, I really wanted to talk about the fucking magic without magic, because what is Garl doing? What's Garl doing?
They explain it in one line. We'll get to it next episode. But
What is Garl doing? If Zale is collecting sun magic and Valerie is collecting moon magic, what is Garl doing?
Collecting food magic.
Yeah, food magic. He's got Garl magic. All right, well, that's it for this episode. Next time, we will be playing all the way through the Necromancer boss fight.
Wow, that feels like a lot.
It's not as much as you think. These dungeons go by very fast. I will say the dungeon before the Necromancer is, up to this point, the longest dungeon you will have done.
I was going to say, the way that I remember it, it'll be faster here because I'm playing it on story mode. But the way that I remember it is not the next dungeon, because we ended earlier than I thought we were.
Yeah.
But the dungeon after that, when you go down the mountain, is when I played this game the first time, I thought was the longest goddamn dungeon I've ever played in my life. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on.
Not that one, but the one after that. That one is even longer. So prepare yourself. It's not super long. It's not going to take you 10 hours. It's probably 3.
No, it's fine. I'm going to do it all on Sunday again like I did today.
All right. So what are you guys squarely against? Vanessa, what are you squarely against?
Roundly for the Fleshmancer.
Oh.
Ooh.
I haven't seen the Fleshmancer. I don't know what the Fleshmancer is,
But it
but I
sounds
like
hot.
the name Fleshmancer. It reminds me
That's
of
my flesh.
Winnowill from the ElfQuest series, who would like manipulate people's flesh and turn them into bat monsters and things like that, you
Cool.
know? Fleshmancy, it's dope. I'm roundly for it. Matt, what are you roundly for?
It's a good question. Let me think about it.
It's a good question.
I mean, part of me wants to be squarely against our boring ass main characters, but I don't want to be a negative Nessus. So, I am roundly for the fantastic animation of the monsters in this game. Like, it really looks great. The little worm thing that we fought, that we talked about, is a good example of, like, just looks fantastic. Really gorgeous pixel artwork. Good animation, like really good use of space and size. And, when that thing shakes around, it feels like it's shaking the whole fucking world. And it does, you can feel it like in your bones. In your balls.
Taint.
It's good. The graphics and the animation in this game, the visuals are very good. They're throwbacky, obviously pixel, which I feel like 10 years ago, people were obsessed with this style, and now everybody's tired of it. But I like it. I think it looks good.
Me too.
I don't mind
What about
it.
you, Jim? What are you squarely against?
I will say that I am roundly for the level design and the traversal in this game. You can tell it's so dialed in. Like, it's not like they threw a few things, like they put a lot of thought into, you're going to go here and you might want to jump here and maybe you can go down here. There's just a lot of love put into the environments in this game. But I will counter that with a squarely against the name Brugaves. Like, that is a terrible
All right.
name.
Say it right, though.
Brugaves?
Brugaves. That's more fun. That one rolls off the tongue. Brugaves.
Does it?
Brugaves.
Does
Cervantes.
I wonder if you translated that into Spanish, what it would mean.
I mean, nothing, because you would have to switch 3 of the letters, right? Like all of these, like Zale. Like, it doesn't make sense unless you realize that it's Dale. Like.
All right, well, now that we're through the quest log and the level ups, I think it's time to talk about... Oh, I'm sorry. Now that we're through the quest log and the squarely against, I think it's time to talk about how we leveled up. Vanessa, how did you level up?
Make Vanessa do it first.
Well, yeah, make me do it first. I've been doing some things. I watched Deadpool and Wolverine.
Whoa. You didn't like it, and I don't want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I think that I'm just not the audience for it. Deadpool doesn't charm me very much.
Yeah. Funny jokes and good action and a lot of heart. Not for Vanessa.
It's not for me. And I
Jim,
thought
jump
that
on this
it was...
bandwagon of bragging on Vanessa. Come on.
I liked the movie in theaters, though,
You saw
but I
it
can see
twice!
why people wouldn't like it. I saw it, yes. Did I see it 3 times? I might have saw it 3 times.
Wow.
But I tried to watch it on streaming last week and turned it off after like 25 minutes. I was just like, I don't know. It's just not hit. It doesn't feel the same.
Okay, you saw it 3 times. Like, not a shocker that seeing a movie for the 4th time in 3 months was maybe a little too much for you. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I'm just saying, like, I don't...
Now that the internet has fed you your opinion, which is that it's bad.
No, it's just like, I feel like I got my fill of it. You know what I mean?
For sure. I have not watched it a second time, even though it's free on streaming right now.
Yeah. Also, like, sorry, Vanessa, I know
I'm not
we're
sorry.
kind of stepping on you. But also, like, I don't like Ryan Reynolds.
I don't know why.
I'm anti Ryan. I'm anti like super rich people. I think it's a class thing. I have class issues.
It's Mint Mobile.
I hate Mint Mobile. Ryan Reynolds also owns a very prominent ad platform that I have to work with a lot, and so like
personal
every time.
reasons.
Yeah, but like also like I hate giving money. I have to give a lot of money to Ryan Reynolds, and so like.
All right, I'm gonna move away from that. Vanessa, how many of the big, cool Easter eggy things did you have spoiled for you going into it? Because I feel like that maybe will very much affect your enjoyment of the movie if you know all the fun things that are going to happen before they happen.
I think just the Channing Tatum related one. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Chris Evans one as well, but I think I forgot if I did know that.
So the 2 best ones in the movie.
Yeah. What I didn't like about it is that every single fight scene started with a slowed down version of a pop music song, and then the
But you love
teams who were
slowed
going to
down
fight.
versions of pop music songs.
I do. But then the teams that were going to fight would like square off against each other. And then there's like a pause in the music. And they either say something or they start running towards each other. And then the music comes back and it's the normal sped up version. That's fine, but that happened like 6 times in that movie. And I was over it by the time.
Were you excited for any of the cameos?
No, it could have just been the mood I was in. I have been not.
Yeah, blame yourself.
I
I
mean,
approve of this.
everything's great and cool, but nevertheless, I have been in a weird mood, and I don't know why, because nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
So it just wasn't for me. But I didn't really like the first 2 Deadpool movies, so it's not a huge shock that I didn't like this one. And I didn't like Logan either. Suck it.
You didn't like Logan?
That's
No.
crazy. I can't believe you just said that out loud. You're canceled.
It's such a man movie for men.
What does
Yeah,
that
I
mean?
get that. I get
what
that.
Do you,
No, I
what's-
feel it.
Wait, what do you mean?
It's like
About masculinity and fatherhood.
Revenge and fatherhood
being a
and-
man and
Yeah, yep.
manning around.
I'll do anything to protect
all right.
this woman, this girl.
Yeah.
That's about that character. It's about Wolverine. It's not about men. It's about Wolverine.
Nah, it's about men. You're wrong.
It's a man movie
I
for
love
men.
Logan, but you're wrong.
I also have been watching some television.
Oh,
I watched a series on Hulu and or Disney Plus, depending on your subscription status, called Rivals.
the
this
challenge
is-
rivals?
It's the Challenge Rivals. It's an interesting show. It's based off of sort of a romance novel, but more of just like kind of seedy romance novel. Like all the characters are very seedy. It's about wealthy English people in the 80s and their attempts
The worst time.
Sorry?
The worst time. England in the 80s? Are you kidding me?
It's the
They
worst
were
time.
all like,
yeah.
I'm rich and I love Margaret Thatcher.
That's exactly
America's
what
not
they
going
do,
through
actually.
anything like that right now.
Yeah. It's about this sort of local television franchise and struggles for control of it. And also these characters and how they relate to each other. It's got David Tennant as kind of the main baddie, which was great because he tends to do really well in those bad guy roles. And it has Aidan Turner, who played the Hot Dwarf in the Hobbit trilogy. And he plays, he's an interesting character. He's sort of the...
I think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Actually.
Do you mean
He's
the Hobbit
the-
animated movie?
No, I mean the new Hobbit trilogy.
Oh, no. That's not a thing that
There's-
happened.
There's the little hot dwarf who falls in love with an elf.
You can't make
and-
a
Yeah.
trilogy out of The Hobbit. It's a 150-page book for
I
babies.
agree. He plays sort of the opposite, the main rival, as it were, to David Tennant. And he's like an Irish journalist who is trying to do real news in the middle of the...
He has a lot of gravitas,
Yeah,
that guy.
and,
he does.
And it also features Catherine Parkinson, who Matt will remember from Taskmaster. She is an actress, and she's the one who, when tasked with putting boots on a spider, said, "Am I the spider?" She's fantastic.
All right, so not Catherine Ryan.
No, the other Catherine.
Boo. Other
But you
Catherines
do-
can't exist. Only Catherine Ryan.
What if I told you you do get to see her whole boobs?
Catherine Ryan?
Nope, Catherine Parkinson.
Meh.
Her whole boobs. What does that mean?
I see
Her
boobs
whole
all the
boobs.
time.
I think
Like nipples?
kind of the most interesting thing about this show is that
I'm a
they
grown man
decided
with
to
access
just
to the internet. I saw boobs today.
they decided to just film
Have you ever
it.
seen a whole boob? You ever seen whole boobs?
They
Is that like Whole
decide-
Foods?
Yeah. It's like whole milk.
they've decided to film it sort of like those old like Cinemax 80s early 90s kind of thing.
Oh,
so
like a softcore porno?
Yeah, it has a lot of sex and a lot of nudity, which you just don't see in shows that much anymore.
Maybe some soft focus.
Yeah,
I appreciate the fact that you don't see it in shows much anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it does make it very, it's odd. It's
Awkward to watch with your mom, which you definitely did.
She did come in while it was on, but I did not watch it with her. I would say.
Did you quickly change the channel? Be like, I wasn't watching that.
No, we watched Bridgerton together, so she's already seen me see everything you could see.
That's pretty steamy.
Vanessa, why is there a cucumber on the couch? That's what I assume your mom sounds like.
It is. It 100% is. So it's a good cast. It's not like a very serious show. It's more like a soap opera.
It's basically pickled.
It's only 8 episodes, so you might as well watch it. I wasn't going to talk about this next show, but as punishment to Matt, I will. I don't have children, so I don't watch a lot of children's television.
Look at me and Jim.
I have you guys.
Basically your children.
Or a lot of youth-based shows, but I have been watching a kids show. It's actually sort of a junior version of a show for adults, and it's called Taskmaster Junior.
This is punishment.
I know. This show is Taskmaster, but instead of comedians doing tasks, they have little British children.
They're torturing young children.
They're torturing little British children.
Mummy, do I have to be on TV? Yes, you do, son. That's how Mummy makes her wine money.
That's how Mummy makes her pounds.
Yep. It is hosted by Rose Matafeo in the Taskmaster role and Mike Wozniak in the assistant role.
No,
that's Mike Wozniak.
The one-eyed monster from Monsters, Inc.?
That's the one.
Yeah, that's Mike Wozniak.
Yep.
Wozniak-Azowski.
I would say of Taskmaster Jr., it is basically exactly what it sounds like. Children are not as creative as professiontional adult comedians.
Yeah. I've seen MasterChef Jr., which is equally cringy. You're like,
it's exactly
stop yelling at this kid because he or she can't creme brulee or whatever. Fuck off, Gordon.
MasterChef Junior, when those kids cry when they can't put their dishes together, it's like, I hate this.
Yep.
It's
I would say that
is cruel.
Not that fraught.
Okay, I'm glad. They don't put the kids under that much pressure.
No,
we don't talk about frauding on this show. That is way out of line, Vanessa.
I don't even know what that means, and I don't want
either,
to know.
Actually. But I know it's sexual.
Oh, the children rotate every episode, and then eventually the ones that come top in their episodes will go on to the semifinals and the finals.
Did you don't come top in their episodes?
Stop inserting sex into everything I'm saying about these children.
I wasn't inserting sex. I was inserting weird Anglophile. Now you're talking like a British person.
Well, I'm sorry if I talk about a British person when I'm talking about British shows.
It's like when I'm playing PUBG with Paul and we go by a crate that's been gotten already, and he's like, "Oh, it's been done." And I'm like, "Stop watching British streamers."
That's also a great Bare Naked Ladies song.
It's been done.
It's all been done before.
It's all been done.
And I was going to talk about Veilguard, but I am out of time because I used my time to punish Matt. Jim, how did you level up? Did anything happen to you in the past week?
It's been a big old week. I was out of town for work for 5 days and then came back and proposed to my girlfriend.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Jim. I feel so bad for you about the fact that she turned you down. It must be tough because you moved.
Oh no. Actually, spoiler alert, she said yes.
Whoa.
Let me get her on the phone right now and talk to her about the mistakes that she's making in her life.
Not only has she said yes, but she's like making him deviled eggs and stuff.
Yeah, she did not just make me deviled eggs, she brought me deviled eggs while I was recording a podcast with you nerds. So,
wow. I mean, I got to be honest with you,
keeper.
Jim. I think that's true love when somebody both says yes to your proposal and is like, have some diarrhea tonight.
Yeah.
I want to smell the worst farts imaginable for the rest of the night.
And she will.
I bet that basement
also,
is. Ugh.
I think I nailed the engagement, by the way.
Whoa.
Like
You were so nervous about it.
I was super nervous, but we went to a dinner that one was fantastic, and two, we both decided was maybe the best meal we'd ever had in our lives.
Wow.
Like an incredible meal.
I saw your meal. You had oysters. Come on. They taste the same no matter where you are.
We had oysters
had
as
oysters
an
in
appetizer.
Nebraska.
It looked so good.
Actually, they were great. We had oysters as an appetizer, and then we shared a tomahawk steak for dinner, which was fucking delicious. Like melt in your mouth steak. We ordered a side of braised mushrooms, which were delicious. Best mushrooms I've ever had in my life.
And how was the diarrhea from the oysters? Was it?
and then after dinner, she didn't know that I was going to propose to her, obviously. So I was like, hey, there's a park down the street. It's kind of a bigger park in Omaha, called Turner Park. And I was like, hey, let's just go by there. When we were driving to dinner, I noticed that it was decked out for Christmas, had all these Christmas lights up. So I was like, let's go there. There was nobody there. It was probably 40 degrees out, so it was cold. I was like, let's just go take a walk around the park. And the park in the center of it has an amphitheater. So bands play there and stuff. And so I was like, hey, let's just walk around this park. And we got to the amphitheater section in the middle. And I was like, let's go up on the stage. Like, there's no one around. And so we got to the middle of the stage. And that's when I stopped her. And I told her that I loved her. And I got down on one knee and proposed to her.
It makes me feel squee and like fuzzy inside because it's too perfect. It's like Christmas lights and
honestly
amphitheater. And,
yes, it was honestly very beautiful, and I got her what I think and she thinks is an amazing, like, gorgeous ring, and so we were very excited.
It is. It's a very like classic, elegant ring. It's not too done up with all kinds of like.
Yeah, very good looking ring. So that was great. And then a few days ago, we were going to dinner, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna drive. Let's go to dinner here. And then we were gonna go pick up a dog that we were about to buy. And then we're driving down the street, and someone crashed right into us and destroyed her new car. So I remember that night, like, after we got home and we had talked to the police and eventually gotten dinner and gotten home and showered and we're going to bed, I turned to her and I was like, I promise, like, that's not part of marriage to me. It's like crashing vehicles.
3 more years of this is what she signed up for. Look, we don't understand, and no one ever will understand how you managed to defraud a woman like Amanda into marrying you, but it's a little too early to let the mask be slipping, you know? You gotta wait till that certificate's signed.
I was like, I promise I did not want that to happen, nor did I orchestrate it, and I feel awful about it, but, like, yeah, we got into a car accident.
There was nothing you could have done, though. I mean...
No, it was one of those things. I was driving down the street like a normal person. Someone took an illegal left-hand turn, crossed another lane, and T-boned me and forced us off the road. It was happened very fast. It was very scary. Everyone was fine. The person who hit me left in an ambulance, but they're fine. Yeah, it was very scary. We're both still kind of sore from it. Amanda's super bruised. Like, everywhere the seatbelt was on her body is a big bruise.
Oh, that's how seatbelts work. It's good. That means it works.
And me, like, my neck is sore, but, like, I was able to brace myself against the steering wheel, so I don't have those big bruises. But it was scary, and I'm glad everyone's okay. So that was unexpected and a bummer, but it's fine. But yeah, that's I had a big week. That was my big week. Matt, how did you level up?
I wish I had gone after Vanessa. You know?
Oh, yeah. I miss Matt, or Jim was sort of the climax, wasn't he? You were excited to level up, though. You told
I am
us you
excited
did
to level
something.
up. We need
You
like
said you had a big thing.
we need like a little break in between. Like Jim, do a dance. Do a dance, like a fun guy dance.
He's on his feet.
He's on his feet.
He's doing like a
He's-
river dance. Look at
It's
that.
a
He
river
has his
dance.
hands on his hips. He is river
Circling his
dancing
chair.
all the way around. He is river dancing into his
In the bar.
living room
I
area.
think he's river dancing
Yeah.
into the bar so he can get himself a
And
drink.
oh no,
He's shaking his butt.
He's
Right
shaking
at
his
the
butt
camera.
us. Yeah, wow, those deviled eggs really gave him some pep in his step. That's
Yeah, no, that you can see on the camera. The whole basement is brown. That's not good. There's a haze in the air. I read a book. I read a novella, I guess, actually. Because
like that. There's some perfectly respectable novellas in the world.
there is one, and this is one. It's called The Murderbot Diaries. All conditions read. Actually, don't
Whoa.
Something
Is that a novella?
something Murderbot Diaries. All murder. Boy, no diaries. All systems read. That's what it is. I read the first Murderbot Diaries novella. There are several. I've heard for years that these books are very good. I don't like it's a weird thing where these were novellas released on the Kindle and the Apple bookstores, and they are very hard to find physically. And I prefer to read books physically. I just like putting my phone away and picking up a book. But, I can't stand to look at social media right now for reasons that don't matter. So
Same.
I needed something else to look at on my phone. And I tried a few games and none of them hooked me. And so I started reading a book. I read the Murderbot Diaries, All Systems Read, the first of the Murderbot Diaries novellas, and it was fucking excellent. If you don't know, the Murderbot Diaries are about a interesting question actually that I'm now
Murder
realizing.
bots? Is it about robots who murder?
It's about a robot. It's definitely not about a robot, actually. I think it's about a cyborg. Or maybe an android. I think you'll have to tell me. It is a.
Have you actually read this story?
It is a. It is a bot that is mostly mechanical, but does have organic parts. But the organic parts are cloned parts. So is that a cyborg or is that an android? No answers from the group. Nobody seems to know.
Maybe we
What was
do
the
know,
question?
but we're not going to tell. He wants to know the difference between a cyborg and an android.
Oh, androids are fully synthetic, and cyborgs are part human, part mechanical.
But what if
part
the human part?
robot?
What if the human part are just cloned parts?
I don't think that matters.
Okay,
doesn't
well then I
matter.
guess it's a cyborg. Murderbot Diaries are about a cyborg who refers to himself as a murderbot, or itself actually, because it's non-gendered. And it's about this cyborg that works for a company as a security bot, was created by a company as a security bot, who has hacked his governor chip to give himself free will, basically, and has to go on like missions and pretend to still not have free will because he doesn't want, the company to realize that he has hacked his governor chip and is just kind of doing his own thing. It was fantastic. The first book, All Systems Read, it's very good, and it's a novella, so it is. I don't know. It's 150 pages in the Kindle app, which is probably 50 pages in a real book. I will say I loved it. I went to go download the second one immediately and then realized that because the series has become so popular, they are now charging $12 per Murderbot Diary, which again is very short, and I was appalled at how expensive it was. So instead, I started reading John Scalzi's new book, The Kaiju Preservation Society, which I'm just started.
Oh, is that good?
I like John Scalzi. It's fun. It's a Scalzi book. You know, he writes very...
That sounds like something I would like.
Very specific kinds of characters. I'm not far enough into it to say much about it. But I will say I've been recommended the Murderbot Diaries for years and have never picked it up. And I'm glad that I read the first one. I'm kind of waiting for Black Friday because I bet they'll go on sale and I can buy a few for $5 a piece, which is what they should be priced. So yeah, that's my level up. Murderbot Diaries. Check that out. It's a good time. The first book is $5. I think I probably got it for sale or on sale or for free at some point because I was kind of looking for something to read in the app and was like, oh yeah, look at that. I have it.
I do that a lot.
I didn't pay for it. I have it.
Where I'll see like it's like a novella that will take like 20 minutes to read and it costs like $2. And be like, I'll probably read that.
This was a little longer. It took me a couple of days. I wasn't reading constantly, obviously, but I was reading on my breaks and when I had a moment, and it took me 2 days to get through. And it really was excellent. Like the main character, the Murderbot, is very compelling. It's not what you expect. It's not an action movie novella. You know what I mean? Like it's not a It really skips past a lot of that. It's really more about this person existing in a world that they are very uncomfortable with. It was fantastic. So go check that out. That is how I leveled up. Unless you guys want to hear me talk about all of the old seasons of the challenge that I've watched recently.
Nobody wants that. Not even the people on the challenge want to hear you do
no
that.
emails this week, but we do have a Patreon. The Patreon is where you can get even more content for
Is this the first time Vanessa's ever done a
money.
Patreon?
We genuinely and truly appreciate everyone who is able and willing to support us through the Patreon, and we try to make it worth your time and money by giving back. We do a bonus episode at least once a month, and sometimes more, depending on whether or not we're in the holiday season. Really, it seems to be around a holiday we get the urge to really pump it up. Yep. You will get rewards at any level. At the $1 or higher level, you will hear your name read at the end of the show. At the $3 or higher level, you can access all our bonus content. And at the $5 or higher level, you can hear your name right on the show, access all our bonus content, and vote on upcoming games.
Whoa, like Sea of Stars?
Every single game. Yes, like Sea of Stars. You can't vote on every single game because much like a AAA Hollywood star, we do one for us, and we do one for you. That's right, one big studio title as demanded by the people, and one just for us, one little indie.
One off-Broadway play.
Exactly.
Our agent makes us do those big games.
Yeah. And as I aforementioned, we will read your names, and it's going to happen right now, and I'm going to start with Andy Best, Tyler, my mom, Cyril the Wolf, Matt Jorgensen, a.k.a. Daddy. That was weird. I'm sorry. I apologize. I got excited.
He did show us his baby, and we did all like it a lot.
That came off way more sexual than he wanted it to.
I'm sorry, but I just got excited because he did show us a picture of his baby this week, and I want to see pictures of them babies. Ryan,
I would like to apologize to Matt Jorgensen's wife.
Yeah. Ryan, Eric Garby, Robert T, Sean Walsh, and Star Healer.
I'd like to thank Justin Rash. It makes me uncomfortable to hear my name read on a podcast. I kill gods for fun. David Green, Star Drifter, Sean Gonzalez, J-Bone, Jake Dickerson, Cerulean, and RP Siege.
I would like to thank Rachel, David Shook, Kodab Games, Sexy Grandma's Retirement Home. Nick? I think that's Nick. For Square Roots Podcast, I'm Stim Stanks. I'm Anthony Lerma. It's July. John whispers with disdain. T. Bumpkins has twins now. Cut me some slack. There's a lot going on in that one. Tracy and David Arnold.
Send us an email. You know our email address. It's squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. If you absolutely cannot be bothered to send an email, please come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group for smart, cool, and very attractive people, and Beeskeet us at squarerootspod.
Whoa, we've actually been using that. We've actually been using that thing lately, by which I mean I think there's one post.
Yeah. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Ghana, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks to Stephen Morris for our Square Roots theme. You can find Stephen on YouTube. Links in the show notes.
And hey, listen. That's it for listen. Oh. Hey, listen. If you're listening to the show on Spotify, which a lot of people are doing, throw a little review up there. Help us out.
Yeah.
Give us some love. We need it.
Give us lovin'.
All right, for Square Roots, I'm Jim Banks.
I'm Matthew Van Zant. And Give Us Lovin' is my favorite Beatles song.
Give Us Lovin'.
And I'm Vanessa.
Goodbye.
Bye.